What's up guys, Jeff from Sorta Healthy here. Today we're back to talking about the ever controversial topic in the personal training industry. Of course we're talking about nutrition. I know you saw the title to the video. This is something I've covered in some detail on this channel already, but so far I've focused more on the big picture. Today I want to give you session by session, week by week instructions on what you should be doing nutrition-wise with your clients. In today's video I'll be referencing our newly created nutrition accountability checklist. Basically this guide is designed to help you make sure that you're doing everything in your power to hold your clients accountable with dietary changes. We'll also be referencing my workout chart that has some new additions to it following the release of this video. All these forms are free and you can download them and use them as you see fit by going to this link located in the video description. When I say free, they're really 99.9% free. All I request from you in exchange is you liking the video and subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. This helps to support the channel and it allows my content to reach more people. Thank you for that support everyone. None of what we're doing over here at Sorta Healthy exists without all of you. Anytime we talk about nutrition in a video, we first need to talk about what's legal and what's not. This map from the American Nutrition Association breaks it down very simply for the United States. If you're in a green state, you can offer one-on-one nutrition counseling to clients who don't have medical issues. If you're in a yellow or red state, simply put, as a personal trainer, you can't do that. In fact, from a legal perspective in those states, you can't do any nutritional counseling whatsoever. More than 2/3 of the US is green though, meaning that you can do a lot of nutritional work with your clients in most areas. If you're in a different country, you'll have to check your laws. There's a good chance they're not that strict, but better safe than sorry. Why do training certifications like NASM, ACE, and others make it seem like you can't do nutritional work with your clients when the vast majority of you clearly can and would be foolish not to? Essentially, they're covering their own asses. If enough NASM certified trainers, ACE certified trainers, or trainers certified by any other agency give out bad advice to their clients, well, it reflects poorly upon those certifying agencies. Therefore, they're playing it safe. I suppose we can't blame them 100% for doing that, but unfortunately this leads to trainers who aren't as effective as they could or should be. This brings us to our topic today. Most of you are in a position where it's perfectly okay to do nutritional work with your clients. Obviously, just because it's legal though, doesn't mean that just anyone should be doing nutrition coaching. There are definitely a few good ways to approach nutrition coaching and lots of bad ways as well. In this video, we talked all about nutrition coaching and what you should do with average clients. Like we said before, this video focused on the bigger picture rather than breaking things down week by week. Some of the things that we established in this previous video that will be very relevant today are: 1, it's really important to make a strong effort to get your client to food journal. This helps you to help your client make changes. Usually apps like MyFitnessPal work best, but if they would rather write things down old school with pencil and paper or something like that, that's cool too. 2, small strategies like increasing your client's protein intake or increasing how much water they're drinking add up in a big way over time. 3, stay consistent in your coaching, but be ready to change up the plan if need be. All of that stuff is incredibly important, and what we're about to go over here is going to build upon all of that. Now we're moving to the print-off that I showed earlier in the video. The whole purpose of this print-off is to help you hold your client accountable in a systematic way. In our studio, we were finding that most clients were still getting good results from our less organized coaching. Before implementing all the stuff that we're about to go over, we were still asking good questions pretty much every session and holding our clients accountable. That being said, we felt like there were always some clients who needed more consistency, more coaching, and more accountability when it comes to nutrition. And again, that's where this chart comes in. Let's get back to that, by the way. You'll notice at the top of the chart is this note right here. After signing your prospect up for training, you should be trying to get your new client to food journal for a period of time. We like for everyone to food journal for a week, or at the very least until their first session post initial consultation. Here's the part of the video where I should let you know that this whole accountability system is really designed for your weight loss clients. Most clients will hire you for weight loss, and these same clients will need the most accountability when it comes to nutrition. Anyways, back to right after the initial consultation. Again, we really want our client to food journal for at least a week. This information will make it much easier to help them out. Also, having them food journal is another form of holding them accountable. Therefore, in that initial meeting with my client, as the meeting/consultation is coming to an end, I say to my client, let's have you food journal for a week so we can get things off on the right foot. This will help me to help you make dietary changes. Again, usually we're recommending an app here, but there are other ways to food journal too. When they get to their first actual session, we move down here to week 1. All these questions are meant to be asked during training sessions at times that don't interfere with the workout. You as a trainer have 2 nutrition objectives to work on with your client in this week. You need to see how they're progressing with recording their food, aka food journaling, and you need to see what's going on with their water intake. You only want to address 2 goals at a time because you don't want to overwhelm your client. If you put too much on your client's plate at once, they'll get nothing done. When it comes to talking about your client's food journaling, all we want to do in this first week is see how they're doing after their initial consultation. Have they journaled? If they have, how's that been going? If they haven't started journaling yet, why haven't they? Be nice and understanding in your questioning here, but make sure they know how important this is. After asking your client about their food journaling, you should also be asking them about their hunger levels. Since they're likely in a caloric deficit, they could be hungry. It's good to let them know that a little bit hungry is probably okay, but very hungry probably isn't. It's normal for them to be a little bit hungry as they're adapting to their new caloric intake, but anything more extreme than that can be detrimental to their results. I think it's a good thing to let them know that. By the way, an app like MyFitnessPal will give your client a caloric target. If they're recording their food a different way, you'll have to get a little bit more creative with how you come up with that caloric target for your client. You should also ask them if they feel like they've been successful with their objectives. The only objective they've had leading into week 1 is to get started journaling. Water intake is a sub-objective that they'll start working on in the week of their first session, so that's a thing they'll be starting now in week 1. Speaking of this water intake sub-objective, we want to try and get our clients to drink at least half their body weight in pounds in ounces of water. So if I weigh 180 pounds, that means I should be drinking 90 ounces of water a day. Try and get them to drink water at every meal and periodically throughout the day to achieve that. This is obviously good for hydration and it will help them to feel more full. Back to week 1, the last question you should ask your client in week 1 is there something that we, or I, if you work alone, can help you with at this time? Your client could have a million questions for you at this time, so it's always good to ask and see what's on their mind. If you never ask, you'll probably never know. All questions that you, the trainer, ask in every week can be spread out throughout the week, by the way. If you see a client every Monday and Wednesday, you could go over half of this stuff on Monday and the other half of it on Wednesday. And moving on to week 2, this is their second full week of training. Just like in week 1, we want to check in with them to see how they're doing recording their food. If they're doing it consistently, great. If they're not, why not? Realistically, if they're not willing to put in a bit of effort to track their food temporarily in an easy-to-use app like MyFitnessPal, well, how much do they really want to lose weight? Find a nice and diplomatic way to address that issue with your client. Make sure you check in with them on their hunger levels. You can always adjust their calories up or down depending on how they're feeling. I also think weighing in your clients weekly here really helps to hold them accountable, and it lets everyone know if they're making progress. Ask if they feel like they've been successful with their objectives. The only objectives leading into week 2 were food journaling and working on water intake. So check in to see if they've had success with that. Ask them if there's anything else that they need at this time. In week 2, we're still trying to get our client to food journal. That's always a high priority. You can either keep working on the water intake goal with your client, or you can try to tackle increasing their protein. I would only move to this protein goal if they've got this whole drinking half their body weight in ounces of water thing down, but that's up to you. The goal is to get clients to turn these objectives into habits. Sometimes that does take time. Again, you should only be working on 2 goals at a time, and journaling is typically going to be one of those 2, at least for the beginning. If after a few weeks you want to have your client work on different objectives rather than food journaling, that's okay. Every client is going to have different capabilities and goals, so you can play around with these objectives a little bit more in later weeks. Anyways, in terms of changing a client's protein intake, let's scroll back down to the notes section. Increase your client's protein amount based on their goals and other factors. Make sure they're getting a good amount at every meal. We often recommend at least 0.8 grams of protein per pound of body weight per day. We usually want to increase a client's protein for 3 reasons. 1, they're now lifting weights and they need that protein for recovery and muscle building. 2, increasing protein will help most people feel more full. And 3, eating protein costs more calories. Basically, you burn a little extra calories to use protein as a fuel source. This effect is small, but real. Moving from week 2 to week 3, and of course leading into week 3, your client should have been working on food journaling and their water intake or their protein intake. Ask them the same questions and see how they're doing. In week 3, you'll notice a few things. First, you'll notice backup options here. If you're 3 weeks into training and your client still isn't food journaling, unfortunately this client is going to be tough to help lose weight. Sometimes at this point, you're best off giving up on food journaling and introducing something like Precision Nutrition's Portion Control Guide. This guide is simple, and some people will find this form of portion control easier. In week 3, you can also have your client work on their protein intake, or you can work on what I like to call junk replacement. All junk replacement is you finding something in their diet that's totally worthless. Soda would be a good example of this, and you want to replace that with a better option. This often ends up becoming a back and forth conversation with your client where you're discussing different options, but that's a good thing. If we scroll down to the next 2 weeks, week 4 and week 5, we'll see more junk replacement or the option to choose any previous strategy. If there was a strategy that your client was having some success with, but they haven't quite turned it into a habit yet, this is a good time to go back and revisit that previous strategy. After you've finished all 5 weeks, it's best to start back at the beginning and start to run through all the weeks again. We've added a weekly checklist to our workout chart to help you make sure that you're asking these questions to your clients on a routine basis. You'll probably want to have a copy of this nutrition flow sheet handy to make sure you know what objectives to focus on, but basically you just check things off as you go on our workout chart, which makes things easy to keep track of session to session. You should be tracking your clients' exercise, and we think their nutrition accountability should be tracked as well. By the way, we've broken this workout chart down in a ton of our other videos, so if you need a chart to track your clients' workouts, check out some of our other content. So there we have it, everyone, a system that is designed to help you hold your clients accountable and get them the results that they're after. I suspect that many of you trainers were already doing a good amount of the things that we discussed today. But let me ask you this, do you feel like you were as consistent as you possibly could be? When it comes to nutrition coaching, do you feel that you're currently doing everything in your power to get your clients the best possible results? Make sure to let me know down in the comments. Like I said before, myself and the trainers who work in my studio, we were close to that point, but we never quite got there. Simply having some good systems in place can make a huge difference. If you have any questions on our systems that we went over today, make sure to ask me down below in the comments. We covered a good amount of material in this one. There's a good chance that this program will evolve over the coming months and maybe even years. So stay tuned for that, and we'll keep you posted if we make any updates. Anyways, if you haven't liked the video or subscribed to the channel yet, please consider doing so because it does help the channel to grow, which does allow me to create more free content for all of you. Thanks for watching, everyone, and until next time, stay sorta healthy.